Welcome to the Mind Myself podcast. I'm Esther, and it is my pleasure to be bringing you information about healthcare approaches, health issues, and people's health journey stories, all from the complementary, holistic, and integrative perspectives, helping you become your own best health advocate and helping you make your own informed choices because you matter. Welcome to another podcast episode for Mind Myself Conversations with E. Again, I have our fabulous guest, Sandra Lee. Welcome to the table, Sandra.
Oh, thank you. It's so wonderful to be here.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit before we get started on human design. Tell us a little bit about your background, Sandra.
I have been a massage therapist for 30 years now. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I have a degree in science. I have a bachelor's in chemistry.
Uh-huh.
And so I like taking things that may be difficult for people to understand or comprehend, and I help them be able to understand them and relate to them in their lives.
That's awesome. And I didn't know that about your Bachelor of Science in Chemistry. I would have failed that, I'm sure. Well, and so how did you come to human design work?
So human design is based on where the planets were at the time I was born. And my experience with planets before human design was I didn't think it had an impact on me. I had had a lot of astrology readings over the years because I thought I should. Because I knew a lot of people who guide their life based on their astrology chart. And so I wanted to be one of those people, but it didn't work for me.
Right.
I had probably had 6, astrology readings over the years, and I did not remember a single thing about them. They didn't seem to have any relevance for my actual life. So I was skeptical about the positions of the planets mattering. You can live your life based on those things, but not me. And then I heard my teacher, Karen Curry Parker, being interviewed on a teleseminar series. And I learned things about myself and my life based on my human design chart that are still practical and relevant for me now, 10 years later.
Wow.
So in that first exposure, I learned, so I was like, wow, maybe this does matter. Maybe the positions of the planets are relevant. So I bought the first part of her training program. That was what was offered in that teleseminar series. And this was a course that is designed to take like 7 weeks to complete, 1 session per week. I inhaled the whole 7-week program in one day.
Of course you did.
In one day. And I then bought like parts 2 through 4 of her training program. I bought it all. And I inhaled the second level in 2 weeks instead of 9 weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
I like inhaled this material. And it's like, oh, this makes so much sense. I see it in my life. I thought the positions of the planets didn't matter. Apparently, they do.
And how did you know they did? Like, tell us a little bit about
Well,
that chart.
so the thing that I learned that first time was I learned about me and anger. I get angry all of the time over big things, over little things. And sometimes I would be angry for weeks at a time. And I used to beat myself up about this. What is wrong with me? Nobody else gets this upset. How come I can't just get over it? Like it was a real problem to me, right? I used to hate myself, right? And this was part of it, okay? So when I learned that in my human design chart, anger is normal. It's part of my design. And actually, there are times where anger is important.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody didn't get angry, things that need to change wouldn't be changed. We need anger. So learning that there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with anybody else. I didn't do anything wrong. Nobody else did anything wrong. And I can't turn it off. Changed my entire life. Because now, when I get angry, I was like, oh, there that is. It's normal. Do I need to communicate? Do I need to do anything? I communicate if I need to communicate. I do what I need to do. And then I get over it. The longest I have been angry in recent years is one full day. And the only reason why I was angry for that full day was because I wanted to make a point to my husband. If I had just gotten over it, he would not have gotten the message of how important what it was that upset me was. And so it was intentional, right? But normally I get angry, I communicate, and then it's done. I am over it, right? So much more freedom is available.
So this human design work really showed you an aspect of yourself, brought clarity, and gave you practical solutions on how to navigate it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And the way I describe that to people is if you have something that is a problem or you don't like, one, we help you make sense of it, just like this anger piece, okay? Put a context to it, and then help you see it as a gift. How can I turn this area where I am stuck around so that I can see the positive side? Because every aspect of the chart, and really all of life, is in the chart, okay? Every aspect of the chart has both a positive way of experiencing it and a not so positive way of experiencing it. If I am stuck in a challenging aspect of something, being able to look for the positive side and choose that makes a huge difference in people's lives. And then to start to be able to see that problem as a gift makes a massive difference. You want to hear a story?
I do. And just before you tell the story,
Okay.
and I'm assuming it's probably going to be related to this question I ask you, someone listening going, well, that sounds really well and good, but I'm still a bit skeptical. Tell me something more that convinces me. Let's hear your story.
Yeah. Okay. So one of my clients came to me for the combination of biofield tuning and human design. Okay. She was stressed out. Okay. And so we started with biofield tuning and helped her calm down and just kind of be herself.
And biofield tuning, we have another podcast on that. So maybe just do a quick.
Biofield tuning is using tuning forks and a hockey puck to make sound to intuitively work in your energy field and help you find freedom and clarity about what's right for you in your life. Okay? So the second session, we did human design for her. And I asked her, what is it you want? What do you want to work on? What are you struggling with? And she said, my whole life, people have asked me to do things for them. They ask me for help. They ask me for advice. They ask me for my opinion. I hate it. She says, I want them to care about me. I want them to ask me how I feel. And nobody ever does. Okay? So when I look at the human design chart, okay, up at the top of the column of numbers is the sun, right? The black column is where the planets were at the time I was born. The red column is where the planets were approximately 3 months before I was born. The strongest energy in the chart is up at the top of the column of numbers. It's the conscious sun. That's what we call it, where the sun was at the time I was born. So for this person, her conscious sun was in the gate, the energy. It's like there's 64 pie slices in the sky, and each one of them is called a gate. Okay? So her sun was in the gate that's about nurturing and taking care of people. And so I told her, you are always nurturing and taking care of people. When people ask you for help, they are showing you that they do see you, because they see that your biggest contribution is nurturing and taking care of people. It changed everything. she was resisting, hating the fact that people were always coming to her for help. When I saw her the next week, she was a totally different person.
Mm.
She realized that every time that happened, it was an opportunity for her to give her unique and special gift. Changed her entire life.
That's great. And so did she keep working with you, or you just did a few sessions, it
We
made a
did.
difference and she went away, or she comes once a year, or how does that work?
In this case, we did 3 biofield tuning sessions and that 1 human design reading. Some people, I continue to work with them periodically. One person, I see her every other week. Other people, I see them every couple of months. It's nice to get little check-ins. I have some people who contact me for biofield tuning or for human design when they're really stuck, or they really need some help, or they need to make a decision about something. So it's like, for example, if somebody is making a decision about what they want to do for work, do I want to take this class, a certification program? Looking at their human design chart helps them see, is this part of my design to do this particular modality, this particular skill? Or if I'm stuck, or if I'm not getting along with my husband or my child, or what is happening, all this stuff. Biofield tuning can make things so much easier, help them not resist so much.
And if someone's still by chance listening and they're still skeptical, saying, well, what's the science on this? Is there some science around this, or something you could comment around that?
There are some people who would say, yes, there is clear science. I am skeptical. I remain skeptical about the positions of the planets mattering. So that's just me. The only reason why I personally believe that this has anything to do with anything is that it continues to prove itself.
Cool.
So the only reason why I believe it is because it shows me again and again, in terms of working with actual people, that it fits. And here is what I do that shows me that. When someone is born close to midnight, I run the chart on the other side of midnight. I run both. And if something changes during that period of time, to me that means that whatever that is really important part of who that person is. A really important quality of who they are in the world. And if what changes really does, like, oh yeah, that is so much part of who this person is, to me, that's evidence that I believe their soul chose when to be born so that the planets could be where they need to be for them to have the experiences and the lessons and the opportunities they're here to have. And this is coming from somebody who's skeptical still about the positions of the planets. The charts are so accurate, like crazy accurate. That's the only reason why I personally believe it. Other people may say there's more science to it. I question that.
That's so interesting. And I've heard the phrase, and I wrote a blog about it just recently, but I've heard the phrase, a friend of mine said, don't poo-poo the woo-woo. So this would be a case that if you think this is woo-woo, give it a try, because if the charts are as accurate as you say, and they're really informative, and they can help us reframe our perceptions of how we show up in the world and how we feel about how we show up in the world and how we feel about interactions, what's not to try?
Yeah. Very often what happens is that the person who I am talking to really feels like they're seen. And this is an experience that is not particularly common in the world today.
Yes.
I feel like the person I am in front of really sees me and accepts me for who I am. And, I do a lot of networking and connecting with people. And when I am just having a casual conversation with somebody, they say something about themselves, and I was like, oh, I wonder how that shows up in your human design chart. And in the moment, I run a chart for them, and I tell them something relating to what they were just saying that's in the chart. And it's like, it changes my relationship with that person immediately, because I've really seen them and who
Right.
they are in a way that's really not particularly common. And so I know something about them that they might not ever have said to anybody, and possibly they might not even be conscious of themselves. But they rest like, oh, yeah, that's true.
Wow. So fascinating. Another deep, wonderful, fascinating conversation. Do you have something that you want to just wrap things up with, a little nugget you want to leave us, our viewers with?
Another common experience that people have is they don't feel like they make a difference. They don't feel like, they don't feel like they do enough that's significant. Okay? I want you to know that you are always living your purpose. 24/7, you are making a difference. And that's
That
what the human design chart tells you.
that's fantastic. And how much more powerful if we're feeling like we're living our purpose and can settle into that and be confident in it. Wow. Thank you again, Sandra, for a wonderful conversation. And thank you for joining us and for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you. It's been wonderful.
Thank you for being with us at the Mind Myself podcast today. We know that time is precious and you've spent some of your valuable time with us. We're grateful. If you would like to reach out to our guest directly, the information is below. And if you would like more from Mind Myself, that information is also below. Please visit our website and check out all the information about the different complementary, holistic, and integrative healthcare approaches, information about health issues, more podcasts, tons of blogs, and we even have a community page for you where you could reach out and tell your story safely, or you could ask questions and perhaps somebody else in the world is going through something similar to you. In any case, we're so glad you're with us, and we're doing this because you matter.